Hello my dear friends. Today we are going to learn 4.1 History of Novel. In this write-up, the origin of novel, its progress, its authors, the different types of novels and the various elements of a novel have been discussed in brief. Now let's say short history of novel. The novel as a literary genre has a history of about 2000 years. The present English word novel is derived from the Italian word novella, meaning new. Novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, action, nature, people and their minds, their gestures and activities. It creates a picture of society of the time. Novel makes life easier to understand than in drama and poetry. In modern era, novel has adopted literary prose. Next, Murasaki Shikibu's Tale of Genji has been described as the world's first novel. The European novel is often said to begin with Don Quixote by Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes, which was published in two parts between 1605 and 1615. In 18th century, the appearance of newspaper and magazines attracted a large number of readers from the middle class. This new reader has little interest in romances and tragedies, which were appreciated by upper class. The 18th century new literature was characterized by the spirit of realism and denial of romantic features like enthusiasm, passion, and imagination. The background of the novel was prepared by all these factors. After 1740, novel originated as the literary form in England. Increase in trade and commerce along with the Industrial Revolution had given the rise to the middle class. A class of people has emerged to occupy an elite status. The realistic picture of everyday life and problems of common people depicted in the novels appealed to the newly educated class and was regarded by them as respectable reading materials. Now let's see elements of novel. There are 6 elements of novel or novella. All these factors may be related to one another in the work by an author. First element is theme. The theme is the central idea in the novel which can be expressed in a nutshell. Second element is plot. Plot is essentially the story of the course of events that makes up the theme. Plot may be simple or complex. Third element is character. Characterization is related to the plot as the course of events take place because of the certain behavior of the characters. The important character may have been described in its every aspect by the writer. The minor characters are not given much importance. The reader follows the action of one main character. Throughout the novel, this character is referred as the protagonist. Protagonist is the main character in the story. Next element is setting. Setting is the background in which the story takes place. There are several aspects of the setting. It includes time, place, action, climate, weather, and lifestyle. Next element is conflict. The struggle between the opposite forces in the story is called conflict. Conflict in the story provides interest and curiosity about the plot. And last element is language or style. The language and the techniques used by the author for the narration of the course of events is known as the style. Now let's say types of novel. First, realistic novel. The realistic novel is a fiction that gives the effect of realism. The characters in the realistic novel interact with other characters and undergo plausible and everyday experiences. Second type is picaresque novel. The word picaresque is originated from the Spanish word picaro, which means rogue. A picaresque novel narrates the adventures of the protagonist, who is an eccentric or disreputable person in an episodic form. Next type is historical novel. A historical novel is a novel set in a period earlier than that of the writing. Next is epistolary novel. The word epistolary derives from the Italian word epistola, which means a letter. The epistolary novel is that in which the writer presents the narrative through the series of correspondence or other documents. All the letters are the most common basis for epistolary novel. Diary entries are also a popular form in this type. Next is Gothic novel. The novel that include terror, mystery, horror, thriller, supernatural, doom, death or decay or haunted buildings are called the Gothic novels. Sixth, autobiographical novel. The autobiographical novel is a novel based on the life of the author. However, the author changes the places and names of the characters or even may change or avoid certain details of his life. It may or may not be in the first person narration. Next is allegorical novel. An allegory is a story that bears more than one level of meaning. The surface meaning of such novel is different from the symbolic meaning of it. Next is utopian or dystopian novel. Utopia is an imaginary community or society possessing the ideal qualities. It is a common literary theme, especially in science fiction or speculative fiction. Next is psychological novel. Psychological novel is the work of fiction that treats the internal life of the protagonist or even the other characters as much as the external factors. Next is stream of consciousness novel. Stream of consciousness is a phrase coined by William James in his treatise Principles of Psychology in 1890. It based a flow of the thoughts, incidents in the plot are in the sequence of their occurrences. The novelist narrates them as they enter the mind of the character. Next is Bildungsroman novel. This German word indicates growth of the protagonist's mind, spirit and characters from their childhood to adulthood. In the first half of the 20th century occurred of pulp magazines become popular in which fantastic fiction for the general entertainment of the masses was printed on the cheap pulp papers. The pulp fiction era provided a building ground for the detective novels and science fiction. Science fiction often explores the potential consequences of scientific and other innovations. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in 1823 is considered the first novel based on science and technology. This genre published in the second half of the 19th century. Detective fiction is a subgenre of crime fiction and mystery fiction in which an investigator or detective, either professional or amateur, investigates a crime, often murder. Thank you.